The worn sneakers, with duct tape barely holding the soles together, the faded jeans, patched at both knees, and the way my younger sister, Jessica, stood in line at the community soup kitchen on a Tuesday morning in July, holding the hand of my 7-year-old nephew, Tyler, like she was afraid he'd vanish if she let go. I almost didn't recognize her. My sister, the woman who had taught 3rd grade at Riverside Elementary for 10 years, the woman who bought a beautiful 3-bedroom house in the suburbs 5 years ago, the woman who sent me photos just last Christmas of Tyler opening presents beneath a decorated tree in their living room. Now she was standing in downtown Baltimore in the peak of summer heat, waiting for a free meal. Jess. I walked up behind her in line. She turned, and I saw it instantly. The hollow look in her eyes, the weight she'd lost, her cheekbones too sharp now, the way her shoulders curled inward like she was trying to take up less space. And then the flash of pure terror just before she forced a smile. "Pat, hi, what are you doing here?" "I volunteer here every Tuesday." I kept my voice calm, even though my heart was racing. I'd been helping at this soup kitchen for 3 years, ever since I retired from the FBI, and I never expected to see my own sister standing on the other side of the line. "What are you doing here?" She looked down at Tyler, who was clinging to her leg. We needed lunch today. Daniel's between jobs, and money's a little tight." Daniel, her husband of 6 years, the man who had seemed charming and ambitious when she first introduced him to the family, the so-called entrepreneur who was always chasing the next big opportunity. "Where's your car?" I asked. The Honda Accord she'd been so proud of when she bought it 3 years earlier. Daniel needed it for work meetings. We took the bus. In 90-degree heat, with a 7-year-old. "Jess, what's going on?" She glanced around nervously. "Nothing. Everything's fine. We just need to get through lunch, and then we have somewhere to be." I looked at Tyler, really looked at him. His shirt was clean, but too small, like he'd outgrown it months ago, and no one had bought him new clothes. His hair needed cutting, and his eyes had that careful, worried look kids get when home doesn't feel safe anymore. "Have you two eaten today?" I asked quietly. Jess's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them away fast. "We're fine, Pat. Really, please don't make a scene." "I'm not making a scene," I said. "I'm your sister, and I'm asking when the last time was that you had a real meal." Tyler tugged on her hand. "Mama, I'm hungry." Something inside me cracked at the sound of his small voice. "I know, baby," Jess whispered. "We're almost at the front of the line." "No." I gently took her arm. "Come with me, both of you." "Pat, I can't. Daniel will be calling soon to check in. And if I don't answer—" "Jess." I waited until she looked at me. "Come with me." I led them out of the soup kitchen line and toward my car, parked 2 blocks away. Once we were inside, with the air conditioning running, and Tyler buckled into the back seat, clutching the granola bars I kept in my glove compartment, I turned to my sister. "Tell me everything. Right now." And finally, sitting in my car with the windows rolled up and the engine humming, my younger sister began to cry. Not quiet tears, not polite tears. This was the kind of crying that comes from months of holding everything in, the kind that shakes your whole body. I let her cry. I handed her tissues. I kept one hand on her shoulder, and I waited. After 10 minutes, she wiped her face and finally spoke. "We're living in our car, Pat. We have been together for 3 months." "What?" "Daniel sold our house in April. He said we were underwater on the mortgage. Said I'd been overspending and we couldn't afford it anymore." She swallowed hard. "He showed me papers, foreclosure notices, debt statements." Her voice sounded empty. "I believed him. I thought it was my fault. I thought I'd ruined everything." In the back seat, Tyler had fallen asleep, the granola bar wrapper still clenched in his hand. "Where's the money from the house sale?" I asked. "Daniel said it all went to pay off the debts I'd created." Her hands were trembling. "But Pat, I don't understand. I make $58,000 a year teaching. I put money into my pension every month. I had savings. I had credit cards with 0 balances. I don't know how we could have been that far in debt." That cold, familiar feeling, the one I used to get when a case started to come into focus, settled over me. After 26 years in the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit, I knew exactly what this sounded like. Jess, do you have access to your bank accounts? She shook her head. Daniel handles all the finances. He said I was bad with money. He showed me statements where I'd spent thousands on things I don't even remember buying. Designer handbags, jewelry, trips. Her voice cracked. I thought maybe I'd blacked out or something because I don't remember any of it. He said I needed to let him manage everything until I got help for my spending problem. And you believed him? She looked at me, desperate. Why wouldn't I? He had bank statements, Pat, my name, my signature. He was so patient, so understanding. He said he still loved me, even though I'd almost destroyed our family financially. Gaslighting. Classic financial abuse mixed with psychological manipulation. I'd seen it 100 times in fraud cases, but seeing it done to my own sister made my blood run cold. Where do you sleep? In the car. We park in different places every night so the police don't bother us. Sometimes behind Walmart. Sometimes at rest stops. Tyler sleeps in the back seat, and I sleep in the front. For 3 months? She nodded. Daniel says we can move back in with him and his brother once I prove I can be responsible. Once I show I won't spend money we don't have. He gives me $20 a week for food and necessities for Tyler. $20. To feed and clothe a child, while Daniel drove her car and lived who knows where. Where is Daniel living? With his brother Kevin. They have an apartment somewhere. I'm not allowed to know the address. Daniel says I might show up and embarrass him in front of Kevin's friends. And Tyler? I asked. What does Daniel think Tyler is doing during the day? I'm supposed to keep him quiet. Out of sight. Daniel says if anyone finds out we're homeless, child services will take Tyler away, and it'll be my fault for being a bad mother. More control. More manipulation. My jaw tightened. Jess, when was the last time you accessed your pension account? She blinked. I can't. Daniel said the school district froze it because of my financial problems. He's handling it with a lawyer. No school district freezes a teacher's pension over personal debt, I said. That's not how it works. Her face went pale. What? Jess, I think Daniel has been stealing from you. I think he stole your pension, your savings, and your credit. I think he forged your signature and opened accounts in your name. I think he sold your house and kept the money. But the papers, the statements, they can all be faked, I said. I've seen it done 1,000 times. Tyler stirred in the back seat, mumbling something about dinosaurs, then settled back to sleep. Jess grabbed my hand. If what you're saying is true, if this is all fake, what do I do? I can't go to the police. Daniel said if I ever tried to cause trouble, he has proof I'm an unfit mother. He has photos of me sleeping in the car with Tyler. He has documentation of me missing work. He'll take Tyler away from me forever. Jess, I said, squeezing her hand, listen to me very carefully. I spent 26 years as a forensic accountant with the FBI. I specialized in white-collar crime, identity theft, and financial fraud. What Daniel is doing isn't just cruel, it's a federal crime, multiple counts, and I know exactly how to prove it. She looked at me with something I hadn't seen on her face in months. Hope. But I need you to trust me completely, I said. Can you do that? She nodded. What are you going to do? I smiled. Not a nice smile. I'm going to remind your husband that he picked the wrong family to scam. That afternoon, after I checked Jess and Tyler into a hotel and paid for a full week, giving her strict instructions not to contact Daniel, I made 5 phone calls. The first call was to Marcus Chen, my former FBI partner, now working white-collar crime. Marcus, I need a favor. Personal case. My sister's husband, identity theft, possible pension fraud, and I think he's running something bigger. Send me whatever you have. I'll start pulling financials. The second call went to the Baltimore County Recorder of Deeds. I need property records for a sale that happened in April. Owner name, Jessica Williams Park. By the end of that call, I had the deed transfer. The house had sold for $215,000, sold to a limited liability company called DK Investments. The third call was to a former colleague at the Social Security Administration. I need a trace on any credit accounts opened in my sister's name over the last 2 years. The list she sent back an hour later made my hands shake. 23 credit cards, 4 personal loans, 2 auto loans, all in Jessica's name. Total debt, $74,000. My sister. The same woman who had always been careful with money, the one who taught me how to budget when we were teenagers. The fourth call was to Riverside Elementary's payroll department. I'm calling about my sister, Jessica Williams Park. I have a power of attorney. I need to verify her pension contributions. The woman on the phone was polite, helpful. Records show her pension account was closed in March. Full withdrawal of $42,000. Signed authorization on file. My sister's entire retirement. Gone. The fifth call was back to Marcus. I need surveillance. I've got an address tied to an LLC called DK Investments. I want to know who's living there and what they're doing. I'll have someone on it tonight, he said. That evening, I drove past the address listed for DK Investments. It was Jess's old house, the house she loved, the one where she planted rose bushes in the front yard, the one where she painted Tyler's bedroom blue with clouds on the ceiling. There were cars in the driveway, expensive ones, a BMW, 2 Mercedes. Through the windows I could see lights on, people moving inside. I took photos, a lot of photos. At 10 o'clock that night, Marcus called. You're not going to believe this. That house? They're running illegal poker games, high stakes. We've been tracking this operation for 2 months, but couldn't locate the address. Your brother-in-law and his brother are running it. Illegal gambling. That's what Daniel needed her house for. That's where my sister's retirement money had gone. How much money are we talking about? I asked. Last game we tracked. $100,000 in cash changed hands in a single night. They're laundering it through multiple accounts. And Pat? Several of those accounts are in your sister's name. She doesn't know anything about this, I said. I believe you, Marcus replied. But on paper, she looks complicit. They were careful. Everything's designed to make it look like she agreed. I thought about Jess sleeping in her car, feeding Tyler granola bars for dinner, believing she was a bad mother with a spending problem. Marcus, I need a full investigation. I need every transaction traced. I need proof that those signatures are forged, and I need it fast. My sister and her 7-year-old son have been living in a car for 3 months while her husband steals her identity. There was a pause. Pat, if this is true, this is bigger than fraud. This is child endangerment, identity theft on a massive scale, money laundering. We're talking federal charges. Good, I said. How fast can you move? Give me 1 week. That week was the longest of my life. But I didn't sit still. I hired a private investigator to track Daniel and Kevin. He came back with photos. Daniel and Kevin at poker games, laughing, drinking expensive whiskey. Photos of them at a country club. Photos of Daniel with his arm around another woman. I contacted a family law attorney and showed her everything. She studied the files, then smiled grimly. Your sister will get full custody, and every dollar back. Possibly more. I pulled Jess's credit reports and documented every fraudulent account. I contacted each credit card company, submitted identity theft evidence, and started disputes. I went to Riverside Elementary and met with the principal, who had known Jess for 10 years. She was horrified. We thought Jess was just dealing with something personal. We had no idea. Tell her job is waiting when she's ready. We'll help however we can. On day 5, Marcus called. We have him. 42 counts of identity theft, 23 counts of credit fraud, multiple counts of money laundering, pension fraud, wire fraud. And because your sister and her child were living in a vehicle while he lived in luxury with stolen money, we're adding child endangerment. When? I asked. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Be at your sister's hotel. We'll need her statement. And his brother? Him too. All of it. I called Jess. Tomorrow morning, everything changes. The FBI is arresting Daniel and Kevin. You'll need to give a statement. Can you do that? She was quiet for a long moment. Will Tyler be okay? He'll be fine. I'll stay with him while you talk to the agents, but Jess, you need to be strong tomorrow. You need to tell them everything. Yes, she said. Her voice was steadier than it had been in months. Yes, I can do that. The next morning at 6 a.m., 2 FBI vehicles pulled up to Jess's old house. I wasn't there to see it, but Marcus sent photos later. Daniel and Kevin in handcuffs, 10 other people scattering. The poker table is still set up in what used to be Tyler's bedroom. stacks of cash on the dining room table, evidence everywhere. At the hotel, Jess gave her statement to Marcus and 2 other agents. She told them everything: the gaslighting, the fake statements, the manipulation, the 3 months in the car, $20 a week, the threats about Tyler being taken away. While she spoke, Tyler sat with me in the lobby, eating pancakes from room service and watching cartoons on my phone. 2 hours later, Jess came out. She looked exhausted, but lighter, like something heavy had finally been lifted. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," I said, "we get your house back, and then we make sure Daniel and Kevin never hurt anyone again." The legal process moved faster than I expected, with federal charges, with the FBI's evidence, with Marcus's testimony about the laundering operation. Both attorneys advised their clients to plead guilty. Daniel got 8 years in federal prison. Kevin got 5, plus full restitution. The house was returned to Jess. The sale was voided as a fraudulent transaction. Every credit card was wiped clean from her record, officially confirmed as identity theft. Her pension was restored by court order, reimbursed from Daniel's family assets. The $215,000 from the house sale was recovered from multiple accounts, along with another $130,000 in poker profits that were seized and awarded to Jess as restitution. By September, Jess and Tyler moved back into their house. She took a month off from school to recover, then returned to her classroom. On her first day back, the principal gave her a standing ovation. Daniel's girlfriend disappeared the moment he was arrested. Apparently, she'd been running her own scam on him. Kevin's friends, most of them, were arrested as well. The poker ring had been operating for 18 months. 1 year later, on a bright Saturday in July, we threw Tyler a birthday party in Jess's backyard, the same backyard where she'd planted rose bushes 5 years earlier. They had survived, and now they were blooming bright red. Tyler ran around with his school friends, 8 years old now, wearing a superhero cape and carrying a toy FBI badge I'd given him. Jess came and stood beside me near the grill, where her new boyfriend, a kind middle school teacher, was cooking burgers. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for everything, for not giving up on me." "You're my sister," I replied. "That's what we do." She watched Tyler playing, laughing, carefree, being a normal kid again. "You know what the hardest part was?" she said. "Not sleeping in the car, not even hunger." She paused. "I believed him when he said it was my fault, believing I'd done something wrong." "You didn't do anything wrong," I said. "He was a predator. He found someone kind and trusting, and he exploited that." She nodded slowly. "But you survived," I continued. "And more than that, you fought back. Only because you fought for me first," she said. Just then, Tyler came running over, his face sticky with cake frosting. Aunt Pat, can you tell everyone the story about how the FBI arrested Dad?" Jess and I looked at each other. She smiled, a real smile, one that finally reached her eyes. "Maybe when you're older, buddy," she said gently. "But yeah, someday I'll tell you how we caught the bad guys." He cheered and ran back to his friends. Jess slipped her arm around me. "You know what I learned through all this?" she said. "Family isn't just about being related. It's about who shows up when everything falls apart." I squeezed her shoulder. "And you showed up too," I said. "You protected Tyler. You survived. You were stronger than you knew." The afternoon sun filtered through the oak tree, casting soft shadows across the grass. Music played from a speaker. The kids laughed. Adults talked, ate, and enjoyed a normal summer day. And somewhere in a federal prison in West Virginia, Daniel Park was learning that actions have consequences, that you can't destroy someone's life without eventually paying the price. But here, in this backyard, with blooming roses, birthday cake, and the sound of my nephew's laughter, justice felt like more than punishment. It felt like healing, like rebuilding, like coming home. Tyler ran past with 2 friends, his cape flying behind him. Would he remember sleeping in the car? Probably. Would he remember being scared? Maybe. But I hoped what he'd remember most was this: the family that fought for him, the mother who survived for him, the people who showed up and refused to let him fall through the cracks. Jess's boyfriend brought over a plate of burgers. "You ladies want to eat before the kids demolish everything?" Jess laughed. A real, genuine laugh. "Definitely." As we sat at the picnic table, Tyler climbed into Jess's lap, even though he was getting too big for it. "Mama," he said, "this is the best birthday ever." She hugged him tight, and over his head, her eyes met mine. "Thank you," she mouthed. I nodded, because that's what family does. We fight, we protect, we refuse to give up on each other. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, you have an ex-FBI forensic accountant for a sister who knows exactly how to take down a con artist. Daniel thought he was clever, forging signatures, manipulating accounts, gaslighting his wife into believing she was the problem. He thought he could get away with it because Jess was kind, trusting, and isolated. He forgot one crucial thing. Jess wasn't alone. She had a family, and real family doesn't let you suffer in silence. The party slowly wound down as the sun began to set. Parents gathered their tired, sugar-filled kids. Tyler's new best friend promised to come over next weekend. After everyone left, after Tyler went to bed, exhausted but happy, Jess and I sat on the porch, sipping iced tea in the warm evening air. "Do you think I'll ever stop looking over my shoulder?" she asked, waiting for the other shoe to drop. "Probably not right away," I said. "Trauma doesn't heal on a schedule, but it will get better. Therapy helps, time helps, and knowing he's locked up helps." She nodded. "I still have nightmares," she admitted. "Tyler and I are back in the car. Daniel comes and takes him away. That I lose everything again." "Those are nightmares," I said. "The reality is this. You're here, in your house. Your son is safe upstairs. Daniel is in prison. Kevin is in prison. You survived. You're rebuilding." "We won," she corrected softly. "You won," I said. "I was just surviving," she replied. "You're the one who fought back." I squeezed her hand. "You fought back every day you got up and took care of Tyler. Every day you survive. That was fighting back. Don't underestimate your strength." She wiped her eyes. "I keep thinking about all the other women out there," she said, "believing they're the problem, sleeping in cars with their kids, being told they're crazy or irresponsible. Who's fighting for them?" I thought for a moment. "Maybe you could," I said. She looked at me. "What do you mean?" "You're a teacher. You're a survivor. You have a powerful story. Maybe someday, when you're ready, you could help other women recognize the signs, help them get out before it gets as bad as it got for you." She grew quiet, thoughtful. "Maybe," she said. "Not yet, but maybe someday." We sat in silence, listening to crickets and distant traffic. A year earlier, my sister had been standing in line at a soup kitchen, broken and afraid. Now she was home, safe, building a new life. It wasn't perfect. She still had hard days. Tyler still had nightmares. The scars Daniel left would take years to fully heal, but they were healing together, surrounded by people who loved them. And that, I realized, was what mattered. Not revenge, not punishment, not even justice, though justice had its place. What mattered was love, family, showing up, fighting for each other. Everything else was just details.